Okay, my friends, here we are. Yes, I was unable to schedule the live stream earlier today because there's something wrong with the app, the YouTube app, and it won't allow me to do it in this landscaping mode it's complicated, without tagging products. There's some button now where they want you to tag a bunch of products that you're using in the live stream, and I don't use any. So that's what that is. Okay, my friends, welcome to the Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Northern Indiana, Zone 5B, 6A. And it is a beautiful day for growing today. It's overcast, it's about 80 degrees, 75 maybe, humid. It rained last night, really good, really ideal for all of that. And yes, Big Wes, formerly Ghost Dog, yes. YouTube has issues. Yeah, I know. That's really unfortunate because I like to schedule it ahead of time so there's like 30 or 40 people waiting instead of having to, But whatever. Everybody, the true believers, they're here. So I can count on that. No problem. Okay, good morning, Val. Good to see you here. It says happy Saturday from Northern Arizona, Zone 7. Howdy, Growinator. Ooh, I like that. Okay, yeah, thank you. Jeremy says, good morning from East County, San Diego. Happy Saturday, Garden Vikings, Valhalla. Yes, Hans, catch up. Thank you. Miss Valmark, good afternoon from Richmond Hill, Georgia. All right. So, let us see here. Robbie Lee says, hey, Nate, do you think it's too early to harvest garlic in Georgia? Now, I can't say exactly in Georgia because I haven't lived there, but it's definitely way too early here. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is because here it is, and we're in Northern Indiana, so we don't harvest it until about the first to second week of July is when we will be harvesting the garlic. But you can tell, but there's a difference. There's a difference in the yellowing of the leaves when it is just hungry or the yellowing of the leaves when it is ready to harvest. So has any of your garlic put out scapes yet? Has that happened? The guy who was asking from Georgia. So let me know. Has any of your garlic put out scapes yet? Okay, Robbie Lee. And then that will tell me. So shoot in the soil. What's up, my friend? Hey, everyone, he says. Yeah, shoot in the soil, guys. He's got a good channel. If you like to look at soil life underneath the microscope kind of thing, you can check his channel out, Shooting the Soil. He does very in-depth analysis, and you can see all of the soil, microorganisms. Pretty cool. So David Willie says, Nate, you could host Gardening Jeopardy. Could hear you saying, the correct answer is contractor, not trash bag. Sorry, my friend. That will cost you the remaining balance of Tahitian melon squash. Yeah, like that? That's what he just said. So yeah, something like that. Hey, I'm open to everything, guys. So yeah, if you have any seminars you want me to speak at or something like that, I'm open to all that kind of stuff as well. One of you guys, I forget the exact name right now, but put a word in to the Baker Creek people to see about having me, say something or speak there during the next Heirloom Festival, something like that. I forget what festival it is, but yeah, all that kind of stuff, super cool. So if you have any podcasts or anything you want to see me on or whatever you think would be a good collaboration, you can put a word out for them because I'm open to all of it. It's all about spreading the word. And yeah, I'm fully confident in my capabilities to convey the message. So we can do that. Miss Valmark says, mine did put out scapes about a month ago. Planted garlic December 2nd. Okay, where are you at? Are you in Georgia? Okay, so it's going to be about ready then. If it put your scapes out about a month ago, then a few more weeks from now, it's going to be ready. Yeah. Let's see here. And Miss Mel's Variety says, hello, everyone. Rhonda Williams, good morning from Southern Oklahoma. Let's see. My garlic leaves are always yellowing, says Hans Ketchup. Well, that's because they are hungry. Even in the most nutrient-rich, it still gets a little bit of the tips are yellow. But garlic is very hungry, so you want to apply plenty of the soil fertility, the base nutrients, but then you also want to apply plenty of the liquid nutrients as well, okay? And let's see here. There was a there was someone from, let me read it real quick. Okay, Rosa Gala says, garlic in North Georgia will be ready around July. Okay, so it's about the same time as it is here. That's kind of what I thought. I couldn't imagine it being that much sooner. So, Judy Will says, look for the bottom 3 leaves to turn yellow on garlic. Yes, that can be true, definitely, unless it is severely deficient in some minerals and nutrients, which often happens. And then the plant will pull the nitrogen, because nitrogen is a mobile nutrient, meaning it can move around from different parts of the plant, as opposed to immobile nutrients. But nitrogen is mobile, so the garlic will pull from the older leaves first in order to give it to the growing leaves, so that they can grow nice and tall. So that can happen too, although it looks different. There's a different in appearance. So I can't show you right here, but if I could look at it, I could tell you which is the one. But regardless, you want to feed the garlic pretty good. But then about 3 weeks to a month before you harvest, you want to just stop feeding it altogether because it doesn't need any more nutrients. That'll help it store longer, I have found. So even though I still have garlic in the basement from, last July. So let's see, PA, what's up, my friend? Mick Hegarty, what's up, my friend? Says, good morning from Colorado. Just had 3 straight days of rain. Very unusual for us. Nice. How high are you in Colorado? I forget. Sour Matrix says, hello, my friend. What is your secret to germinating really old seeds? Yeah, the secret to germinating old seeds would be to plant way more than you need to, because most of them are not going to come up. Because if you think about it, really, the seed is really only meant to last the season. It's okay. So the whole purpose is to, when this plant dies, we're going to have the seed be viable for just until the next growing season comes around. And so for that reason, it's unnatural for them to really be stored for years on end or something like that, and then to be sprouted again. Although they can do that. They can do all of that. So yes, as someone just said, the old seeds paper towel method, that's a very good method. Definitely starting them up. I do recommend starting them up indoors. It depends what kind of seed it is. What is this seed priming? Patricia says, soaking seeds ahead. Yeah, you can soak the seeds, definitely. You can soak seeds. That typically, though, in my experience, just helps with faster germination. It doesn't help if a seed has died. If the life force is no longer viable, then it doesn't matter if you soak it or what you soak it in. It's not coming back to life. So, yes, you can soak things in a little bit of JMS, any of the fertilizers. You could soak it in some of the, if you do aerated compost teas, that's really good. You can soak it in that. You can just soak it in with a handful of leaf mold. Really the best thing is the compost extract that you saw from my seedling video. That is the best thing to soak them in, and very easy to make. So, let's see here. PA says, I just had a couple slight late frosts and they wiped out a lot of squash and tomato transplants. Freaking Valley microclimate. Wow. Late frost. Yeah, that is, we have got those here in the years past and stuff. So this year though, it got warm and it's pretty much stayed warm several weeks ago. And so I'm quite confident that the last frost is gone, even though, let's see, today is the 13th. Technically, the 15th is the last frost date for Indiana. And a couple of years ago, there was a late one, much later than that killed a lot of stuff. But this year, it warmed up a few weeks ago. And so therefore, the winter rye that I have planted is still not ready to be terminated, which I would have loved to have terminated it about a week ago, but it's still not ready because you have to wait until it gets to that milk stage, which I'll make a short here in the next few days or a week about that and how to determine that. But if you cut it before that, it's just going to keep growing back and it will be a real headache to you. So if you wait till the right time, which is about now, and in years past that was fine because I wouldn't even be planting tomatoes or peppers or anything warm-loving until now, or even a week or 2 weeks from now. It's just this year's been really warm, and so that's why. But yeah, I'm going to terminate it. That's why I've got tomato plants that are this big. I mean, look at this. This is too big, kind of. Although it's stout, it's super healthy, and you know, it's not limp by any means. It is very healthy, but I don't like them to start flowering and stuff like that, but this is gonna be just great. So when I go to plant this thing, I'm gonna take these two bottom branches off right here, and I'm gonna bury it probably up to here, give or take. I'm gonna bury the whole thing up to here. And so that will, because tomatoes are one of those things, remember, that can put roots out from any point along the stem that touches in contact with soil. So this is a Cherokee purple plant, which is my favorite of all tomatoes. So Andrew Barnes says, trimming onion tops, yes or no? You trim them, so yes, when they are inside, when you're starting them up. We keep them trimmed to about 5 inches. We let them grow till they get about 8 inches, then we'll trim them back to about 5. But then after we plant them, we don't trim anymore. We don't trim them anymore until, if you're really trying to get big onions, until right about the time when they're ready to harvest, you will see a lot of the onions tops will start to kind of fall over at the neck where the bulb and the plant, where, you know, it becomes soft, and so the plant will sort of fall over. Once about half of them fall over, it's time to harvest the whole crop. You know, or once about a third of them fall over, it's time to harvest the whole crop. Because once the onion top falls over, and this will be sometime in July for most of us. And so once the onion top falls over, that's it. It's no longer, there's no more nutrients, there's no more, it needs to be harvested. Otherwise it will not store very well. So if you want to get big onions as possible, right when you start to see some of them kind of falling over, you can really trim them pretty severely, and that will lighten up a lot of the weight on the neck. And so you can usually get another week or 2 weeks out of them where they can put on some more bulb production. But no, while it's growing, you don't want to do that, because the leaves, every leaf corresponds to a layer of the onion. You know how there's layers of the onion? Every leaf corresponds to a layer. So the goal is to get as much vegetative growth as possible before the switch happens and the onions start bulbing. Because remember, if you're growing onions right now, you're growing long day onions. Hopefully you are, at least. Because long day onions put on they put on luscious vegetative growth as the days are getting longer. So like right now, they're all focused on vegetative growth. This is for long day onions. And some, to a degree, intermediate day also. But then, once the summer solstice comes and the days begin getting shorter, the onion senses that, and it will switch from vegetative growth to bulbing production. And so by the time the solstice comes, however many leaves you have, that's it. That's pretty much all the leaves that there's going to be on your onions. And so you want them to be as big and healthy as possible, because every leaf is a solar panel, because plants are solar powered. Actually, all life on Earth is solar powered. And so definitely the plants. And so if we're cutting off their solar panels, they're not going to have the energy to produce, you know, that good stuff that we want. I mean, how many of you have solar panels on your house? And you know this. When you add an additional panel or 2 panels or 3 panels, it really boosts the production of stuff. So Semias Benestar says, love from Colombia. You are great, my friend. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're tuning in from Colombia. That's cool. Let's see here. James Triplett says, later in the season, make a video on pruning tomato plant and also other plants. Yes, I can do that. Let's see. El Shadowin says, hi Nate, I just graduated from the Master Gardener program in Missouri. It's a great foundation, and you are widening my gardening horizons far beyond that. That is wonderful, my friend. Yes, congratulations on that Master Gardener program. I do not have any such certifications, but it's when the passion is in you, then you can just find a way to acquire the knowledge, you know, and just doing it for a long time. So I consider myself a master gardener, you know, a master of gardening, I guess, but not no certification. So Nate Caller says, glad to see the beard is back on the grow. Is it? Oh, yeah, definitely. A little bit. I consider this clean shave still, almost. But yeah. Yep, it was shocking at first, the beard, but now I'm getting used to it again. It's all right. I mean, the beard is so hot. I don't know how many of you guys have beards, and it is like, who to do it during the summertime, especially mine. It's like putting a wool hat on, or like a cat, an animal around your chin and your jaw and everything like that all summer long. And so it's just too much because, you know, it's too much. Let's see here. Massive Overkill says, just for trivia, farm cheese made from sour milk turns much faster than fresh milk and needs very little draining and has a harder consistency and are good for cheese crumbles. Okay. Is that raw milk that you're using, I hope? Or because if it's been pasteurized, it's a whole different process. It's a whole different thing. Donald Hughes, South Bend, Indiana. Do I need to buy seeding soil? Let's see here. Do I need to buy seeding soil? What does that mean, Donald? Do you mean a special type of potting mix to start your seeds? Or do you need to buy it to start your seeds indoors or outdoors? If you're starting them indoors and you're just starting out and stuff like that, until you have formulated your own sort of soil mix, it's best to just buy it from the store because it's already sterilized. And so to keep you from having all kinds of pest issues or molds and stuff, it's good to just buy it from the store at first. But just remember, you have to feed it then. Trish says, question, Nate. I saved a bunch of whey from making kefir. How do I say it, guys? Let's end this once and for all. Is it kefir, or kefir? Let me know. Okay, I saved a bunch of whey from making kefir for use in the garden. How long will the bacteria last and be beneficial for the soil at room temperature? Okay, you know, kefir grain is a different set of microorganisms, a completely different set of microorganisms. It will still be of benefit, but it does not replace the labs, so it is different. But it says, how long will the bacteria last and be beneficial for the soil at room temperature? Not all that long. So I would go ahead and get it into the soil where it can immediately start forming the relationships that it needs to form so that it can boost soil fertility and break down things, make it more plant available. Yes. Okay, let's see here. Angela Lead says kefir, okay, which is what I heard from like, who's that guy? Paul Saladino. Who's the carnivore MD? I don't know if you guys know this guy, but so Clem says kefir. That's how I've always originally said it. Shooting the Soil says kefir. Okay. Teef says kefir for milk kefir. Kufir for water kefir. Okay. So far it's kefir. So I'm going to keep saying it how I always did say it. Okay. Well. Big Will Dog says, Garden Like a Viking, as a guy who has little body hair, I don't envy you this time of year. Yeah, definitely not. Fortunately, all my hair is like very light. It just is like around the beard is, so I mean, imagine that area is so hot. Like when you're out and it's blazing hot and the sun's beating down on you and you just got all this hair. And I used to have dreadlocks. It was super long. Oh man, no way. So Nurse says, hello from Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Hello, my friend. Mama T says, you are definitely a master gardener. Thank you very much, my friend. And you say potato, I say potato. Yes. What's up? So thank you, Donald. And kefir. Okay, let me see here. Val says tomatoes should be okay with that. Other stuff, not always. I've been seeding in cold frames and been having to uproot, divide, and plant. Basically, bare rootstock problematic. Okay, so you guys are having the conversation about this and tomatoes in the cold frame. Let's see. Let's see here. 1 second, guys. Jeep Man, $10. Can I and should I use Jadam Wedding Agent with my worm tea? Thank you very much for the tip, my friend. My dad just walked in for a minute, so I was I can't think about all this stuff at once. Jeep Man, $10. Okay, should I add Jadam Wedding Agent with my worm tea? You can if you're going to apply it to the leaves. So the leaves, of the plant is where we need the wetting agent. So if you have some kind of soil pest thing, like a fungus gnats, or you have some kind of larva that you're trying to get rid of in the soil, then you can do that. But if if you're putting it on the leaves, you always want to apply. You always want to use the wetting agent, yes, because there is like a water has like a surface tension, is what it's called, and so if you don't put the wetting agent on, it doesn't coat the leaf all that well, because leaves have a natural substance that sort of repels a lot of stuff from it, a lot of dust and debris and all of these kind of things naturally. And so when you use the wetting agent, that is what will break the surface tension, and that will allow it to adhere and penetrate into the leaf. So if you're spraying it on the leaves, yes. If you're spraying it on the soil, there's no need for that, because there is no surface tension that's going to be a problem. Yes, no tea today because it is like hot in here. I have not turned on any air conditioning or anything like that, and so yeah, it's nice and humid in here right now. So Sweetly Morbid Bear says, thank you for all your hard work and dedication to spreading your awareness with others. You're very welcome, my friend. I'm glad you can benefit from this. Chad says, I have leaf blight fungus on my wheat. Any recommendations? I do not have experience with that. So no. Why would it get that fungus on it? What is it? You probably planted it too closely together. That is a big thing with the wheat, is that people are planting wheat and winter rye and all of that kind of stuff, plant it much too close together. And so it doesn't have room to breathe and all of that. And that's what I would say. So the airflow can't get in there, and it gets sort of stale and stagnant. And then you're kind of at the mercy, because typically most diseases and stuff, plant diseases, already exist in the soil. They just are kept in check by different microorganisms and also by a healthy plant. And so when a plant is nice and healthy, has all the room that it needs, the nutrients it needs, it can defend itself against all that stuff for the most part. But if it is sickly, then no, it can't defend itself. Let's see. Just Me says, hey brother, we are in the garden planting sweet potatoes. All right. Did you get some slips sent to you, or did you find some slips, or did you make them from when I was there? That's super cool, man. Yeah, it's about time to be planting sweet potatoes here. But guys, look at this, okay? You remember, I mean, this is the water method, which still works, okay? But this, I have not cut any sweet potato slips off of this. Look at how slow they are. I never thought anything of it before I started doing it in the soil method. But this has taken, the soil method, they're already outside in the sun, and I've already taken several cuttings off of them. And they're just growing like crazy. But these things have still not taken. But that being said, when I pull these off, they are going to be full of all kinds of good roots. These are really high quality slips right here. But man, I mean, if I started 2 sweet potatoes, then I would have like 6 slips in like a week from now. But whereas I've already cut like at least a dozen. If you watch the short that I made, which you know, I'm making shorts about all kinds of stuff that I don't want to make a full video about. So check out the shorts or the Garden Like a Viking Instagram. I post the same thing to both accounts. So so you're not missing anything if you're not on Instagram, really, except for my stories. I do stories daily on the Instagram about stuff I'm doing. But yes, so these are slips from the other sweet potato that got hit by a frost. I had the sweet potato outside to make room in the grow tent, and it got hit by a really light frost, and it almost killed the entire thing. You can see the dead leaves here was from that. But the new growth is looking nice and healthy. So what I did, I cut them off, and I put them in water. And you can see they're growing nice set of roots. And so I've got like 3 of these mason jars, except the other ones are packed full of like at least a dozen slips. So the soil method absolutely for the win, as far as the speed and the amount of sweet potato slips. I mean, these are going to be great. They're going to be nice and healthy, but we are not going to get that many off of this. So that's what that is, my friends, about the sweet potatoes. So Clem says, my first time trying the soil method, my sweet potato started to root, but then rotted under the soil. Somehow I think I overwatered them. Yes, that will happen. Either there's not enough heat or you overwatered them. That's what it is. Taylor Rendell says, love everything you do. All right, my friend. Glad you are here. Itamar Toribio says, Hello from Ontario, Canada. What do you think of using lemon balm cuttings as a mulch around cabbage and as an insect repellent? Wonderful idea. If you have that much lemon balm, absolutely you can use it. Lemon balm is in the mint family, and so it will spread like mint. And so, for example, here are some catnip, which is in the same family as lemon balm and mint. But you just cut the thing, and they've already grown. Just by the time that the roots have come out, they've already grown double their size. And then they will spread and spread and spread. And so lemon balm, mint, and catnip and cat mint, all of those kind of things, you want to harness their pest repellent capabilities is best if you cut the you cut them, the plant, the lemon balm or the mint or whatever it is, and use it like a mulch, because that is going to still have the essential oils and the odors and stuff without it totally taking over your garden. So listen guys, don't think that you're going to just plant, I'll just plant some mint here and there around my garden to help repel pests. Yeah, okay, that'll work this year, but then next year and the year after, for sure, you will have a mint garden. You will have mint and lemon balm, and you won't be able to get rid of it, which can be fine for some people in some situations. So mint, lemon balm, catnip, all of that can be a great property of it if that's what you want. But otherwise, no. And if it's raining a lot, then if you're like in the Pacific Northwest or something, even throwing the mint on the ground as a mulch is going to probably root it. Yeah. For you I dig. I like that name. I love the smell of catnip and verbena. Oh man, lemon verbena is amazing. I love that stuff. Let's see here. Val says, I'll give it a try. Nothing to lose because the beans germinate so fast. What are you guys talking about? Beans, huh? Wrought Iron Farm. You have an open invitation to our farm. That would be wonderful. Where are you from? Is it, I don't think I recognize that name. Where are you guys at? Let's see. Moldy Soldier says, what's up, bro? Iowa in the house. All right, my friend. Clem says, crazy that you can literally set them in a glass of water and they're fine, but too much water in soil hollows them out. I know, that is kind of crazy, isn't it? It's because the tuber itself rots, but the actual vine does not rot. And so, yeah, because these things are the kind where like they will grow and grow, and then everywhere that they touch a ground and find real nice soil, like moist soil, they will sprout up and then grow. From there, they will put down roots and become a new plant. So, Vara Simple Living says, Nate. Charles Dowding says, it's completely fine to water plants in direct sunlight. What are your thoughts? So long as I love Charles Dowding, by the way. Very, very great channel. Learned a lot from him over the years. I just wanted to say that. Give respect where it's due. And yes, to water in direct sunlight, well, he's also talking about English direct sunlight, which, as if you know, then you know, which is like not real direct sunlight. So that's one aspect. It's like cloudy sunlight or something. And but also, yes, if you can water in direct sunlight as long as it's pure water, because that happens all the time in nature. Unless you live like in Saudi Arabia or some kind of, I don't really know, like if it's super intense sun, then I'm not sure. I don't have that kind of experience. But I mean, when I was growing in Northern California, it'd be 120 degrees in our greenhouses, direct sun, and sometimes I would have to water them to keep them from just overheating. And I water them directly in sunlight sometime here if need be. But the problem is when you add something, okay? You live on the Gulf Coast. Okay, it will still be fine. But because, doesn't it rain there all the time anyways, really? But yes, you can water. But once you start adding stuff, so if you add the Jadam wetting agent, or if you add any of the fertilizers, any of that kind of stuff, then it creates a whole different thing. And the molecules react differently with the sunlight. So definitely if it's any of the pesticide kind of stuff, natural pesticides, then no. Because, and you might do it and it's fine, but chances are very high that it will burn. I mean, so many times. I mean, I had this happen so many times in years past before I understood what was happening. So Ms. P says, I had no luck with Charles Dowding's method, as his soil and climate are much easier to grow in than what I'm dealing with here. That part is absolutely true. I mean, when you watch Charles's stuff and he's just out for a lovely stroll and it's just, his English accent and everything, and it's nice overcast. It's always overcast, maybe a little bit of sun, and he's just got a little sweater on. It's just like perfectly temperate, mild growing conditions. He just puts his finger down in the soil and it's just all like fluff. And I'm thinking, man, that would never happen here. Even in Northern California, we have wildly crazy swings. It'll be 90 degrees and blazing hot sun one day, and then 45 at the nighttime, and then just, super high, strong winds and all of that kind of stuff. And then we have soil that is like mostly pretty much ready to go onto a pottery wheel. That's about how, and his planting stick, right? He just kind of with his little planting stick and just plop it in there. And it's all good. And I mean, it has a lot to do with climate for sure. And different soil conditions, yes. But the principles still apply. Yes. Let's see. Pam says, I made my third batch of liquid calcium acetate. All the plants love it. Thank you for your awesome knowledge and experience. You're very welcome, my friend from South Africa. Let's see. You can always water in direct sunlight as long as you do not throw any water on the leaves. Well, yes. Oh, of course. Absolutely. I just assumed that we were talking about watering like overhead showering or something. Because, if it's in the soil, it doesn't matter at all. You can even fertilize in the direct sunlight if you need to. But sometimes, though, like when I was in California, Northern California, and we would grow, so there in the redwoods, it's the 6 months of the year, it rains pretty much nonstop. It's just beautiful and nice and humid, and rains all the time, very temperate. And we grew all kinds of things like the brassicas and all the frost hardy stuff you can grow wonderful over that time. But then when the summertime came, once the rain stopped, it did not rain again for 6 months. And everything gets bone dry and turns brown. And that's just naturally the climate there. And so there, I was watering in the evening time, sometimes in the middle of the night, because that was the only way that the water could stay there long enough for it to be absorbed by the plant. Because if I was watering in the morning or the daytime, just evaporate, it just bakes right off because it's so dry. We're talking 15% humidity, 15% relative humidity, and that is not what most plants like. And so that is so then I would have to water in the evening time, until the plants got too big, the flowers got too big. But that's different. So, England, let's see, Tree Rugger says, England soil is older than American soil. That's why. Maybe that is. Yeah. And also, a lot of it comes from where their place on being surrounded. Anywhere that is close to the ocean is going to have a more temperate, as far as it's the weather patterns and stuff. It is the mountain ranges and the grass prairie lands and all of this stuff that creates different pressures and stuff like that creates all the wild swings in weather. But if you get to areas that are like England and stuff, storms and all of that pressures can mellow out more across the ocean. Yes. Let's see here. Southern California is too hot to water in day this time of year. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Kip Tap, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. It says, can I and should I use, what is this? Did you see? It's this app messing up. It's this app. Did you have a question with that, Kip? Let's see here. Okay, Nate. Was your morel mushroom forage successful? Also planted 4 water-rooted sweet potatoes this morning. Here we go. All right, sounds good. I have not found any morels yet, but I think that we will today because, okay, thanks, Kip. Because I'm going to go over to my mom's. As soon as this is done, I'm going to go to my mom's house and we're going to get her, for Mother's Day, her garden revamped and installed, so check out the stories on the Instagram account, because as soon as I go there, I'll be showing you guys what we're doing and stuff. I might be able to make a I might be able to make a video about that though, because it's going to be very cool. I mean, so she has a garden that is a technique that we used to use in Northern California that is very good when you can't use any of the native soil for whatever reason. So we put down landscaping fabric and then put down 100 to 150 gallons up to 300 gallon grow bags. The grow bags, just like these, except this here is a 30 gallon, but we would have 100, typically 150 gallon grow bags like this, and then fill them full of the soil and the amendments and stuff like that. And so that's what we're doing over there, because we can't utilize that native soil in that place. And so, yeah, it's a good technique that works very good if you can't use the native soil, and you guys will see that. So, in fact, let us together do a Instagram story. Okay, we're gonna go like this. I'm gonna say, let's see here, and we're going to do. Okay, guys, here we are doing the live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters. See, we got all kinds of stuff I want to talk about here. And we do this every Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time. So check it out. Hey, guys, here we are doing... Yeah, and that's the story. So you do all kinds of stuff that is really easy like that. So that's what I like to do. Yeah. Enoch says, sweet potato is not actually a potato. Yes, you are correct. It is not. It is a tuberous root, actually. Let's see. Vera Simple Living says, never found morels, but we harvested almost 2 pounds of chanterelles one year on our property. That's nice. The morel, to me, the morel is my favorite one of all. I mean, besides chicken of the woods, my friends, that is off the charts. Because I will make up a breading with some whole wheat flour, and then all the, paprika, cumin, and some of the smoked pepper mix that I have, just like I was going to make a breading for like fried chicken. And then put some egg, then cut the chicken of the woods into slices, put it into the egg, then put it into the batter, and then fry it in a little bit of the homemade beef tallow. And boy, it is amazing. I mean, it tastes better than chicken. It's incredible. So let's see. Bradford said, someone told me that peppers like to hold hands and do better if two are planted closer together. How close? That's an interesting term. The peppers hold hands. I've planted mine, I've planted them about 12 to 14 inches apart, definitely. About 12 inches to... I can't say, I can't say exact numbers because I have to look at it. So, and I'm not really all that good at judging the distance. Just me, who are you? $20. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the tip. He says, thank you for sharing the knowledge. You are very welcome. See, yeah, I wish you were here, and then you'd be able to tell me exactly by eyeball how far this is. Yeah, I can't. So, yeah, I'd say about that far is how far I put the pepper plants. It depends what pepper as well, but peppers can get sunburned. Not so much the leaves, but the pepper plant, the pepper itself can get sunburned. So this is an Ivarsky pepper, a Macedonian sort of sweet roasting pepper, and it is going to be really good. So yeah, these are looking pretty vigorous, and these have a similar sort of action. Do you see, can you see there at the base here, those little nodules? Those are the development, the beginning of roots. And so with peppers, you can bury them, though not to the same degree you can bury tomatoes. Tomatoes, you could bury, if you wanted to, this whole entire thing. And it will put roots along this entire thing. But the pepper can do it to some degree, about an inch up here, in my experience. So when I plant this pepper plant, I'm going to take these off and bury it up to about there. And that typically works pretty good. So here's a poblano, already started to flower, which I don't like, but the cover crop is not ready yet. So it's just been kind of a crazy year, but hey. Let's see. Up north says, I have to agree on planting peppers closer together. I live in zone 3 and I get a much better crop when close. Okay, yeah, so there you go. Now, I don't know, your close could be different than somebody else's close. So, yeah, I mean, it really depends. But the closer, because they will shade each other out, and you want them to shade out the fruit of each other, of one another, because they can get sunburned, the fruit can. And so, yeah, we don't want that. And let's see here. We're going to talk about some other stuff, because I have a number of things I want to show you guys. Paint with Sway, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the contribution. So there is, another one, Scorpio, 1969, $20. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience. You are very welcome, my friend. Thank you guys so much for the tips. I appreciate this. Helps me to keep all of this stuff coming, because I am full-time YouTuber now, which is crazy. But yeah, since last July, because this channel is just over a year old, and it was monetized in July. So it just creeps into your life in a way that, because I let it into my life, that it just takes over. And so it's like full time. I mean, have to come up with video ideas, and then having to film things, and then also trying to actually grow a huge garden, multiple massive huge garden projects, is like, a lot. And so it's straight up full time. So big thank you to everyone contributing in that way. Also, big thank you to everyone that is utilizing the link in the description to the PayPal donation thing. So that is really nice, and I appreciate that. That's actually my preferred way, just because they don't take anything out, so, but don't tell YouTube that. So, okay, so let's see, pinch that bloom on your pepper. Yes, definitely I will. When I go to plant them, I will be pinching every one of those blooms. And that is typically, they kind of got away from me. Typically, I would have actually pinched it a while ago. But they got away from me because after I put them outside, they just exploded with growth. I mean, these things are loving life. And so they, yeah, I've done it. I've so many ways where you pinch the actual, like your, because when I was in Northern California, we topped a lot of the plants, and that really changes the whole structure of the plant. It really matters, and it makes a big difference as far as overall yield. But with the peppers, I have not noticed that it makes that big of a difference at all with the yield. It does, like on this plant, if I took it here and topped it right here, because we still got these 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes. So even, we could top it here. That would be extreme, but we could top it like here as well. And we just cut that whole thing off. And then each one of these, do you see right there? Each one of these is going to become like a whole new branch. And so when you top the pepper plants like that, it creates a much bushier, stouter plant. Now, in my experience, it doesn't necessarily make more peppers though. It does create a bushier, stalkier plant though. As opposed to if you just leave it, then these are gonna grow to their maximum height. They'll still have side branches, but they won't be nearly as like bushy. So if you top it, it'll be about half the height, but twice the width of what it would be otherwise. So yeah, you can do that. That's just another thing you guys can do. Put that in your repertoire. So let's see. Rose says, Nate, where would you recommend getting plants from? I was out of town and could not do my starts. So, okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you're going to be at and stuff. And so, because I just started everything. And so we have a couple local greenhouses around here that I would go to. At last resort, go to one of the big box stores. But, yeah, not exactly. So I don't know exactly where you're at. So Paint with Sway says, can you talk about water catchment and how to manage overflow and mosquitoes? Okay. Let's see here. And then Tushi, what about pinch the bloom? I'll get to that in a moment. So can you talk about water catchment and how to manage overflow and mosquitoes? Yes, water catchment. I'm about to make a video before too long, but now they sell all kinds of rain barrels, and they can be very expensive. But for me, of course, I like to do things where I get like the raw materials, but they're of a higher quality. If you buy a rain barrel for like $200 and it comes to you, and I've seen this and stuff, and it can be really generic. All the stuff can just feel really super generic, because it is. And it cannot work right and stuff. And I ruined 2 barrels trying to buy a pre-made, kit for the rain barrels and all that. It was a joke. It was a total joke. So instead, what I've been doing this past couple of years, and what I will show you guys in the video, is I actually just go on to the internet, Amazon, and purchase brass fittings, the actual brass compression fittings. And so so then I got the pickle barrels, the big black pickle barrels, and then I drill the hole myself and put the brass fittings in there. And then I screw garden hoses onto it. It's just way more sturdy. I mean, way, way more robust and sturdy. And there's nothing getting in. There's no mosquitoes getting in. And there's no light getting in. So yeah, rain barrels, guys, if you have a clear or opaque, even a white barrel, if sunlight is getting to it, there will be algae in it, no matter what. So if you have green in your water, if it's green algae, it's because light is somehow getting in. The algae will not be able to grow without the sunlight. And so if you use all black barrels like I have, with the lid on and everything, then you will not have to worry about it because it comes straight off of the gutter right into the rain barrel. And then once that barrel's full, the overflow up top goes into the second rain barrel. Then once that one is full, then you can keep doing rain barrels that way. But I only have 2 at the moment in line with each other in the backyard. Then I'm going to do 2 more in the front. But then after it overflows from the second barrel, then it overflows out away from the house, so that it can just go out. You can also have it overflow with the long soaker hose so that, and then wrap it around some plants or wrap it around whatever, something that can take a lot of water. So that's what I do. I'm not into putting the enzymes, the pucks and all that stuff in there for the mosquitoes. You really shouldn't have mosquitoes. If you do it in the way I just described, there's 0 chance, nothing can even get in there. And if they do, then they're not going to receive light or be able to leave or anything like that. And so that's the best way to do it. But I have had, in the years past, I've had rain barrels with open, just had the gutter diverted and dumping into the rain barrel, with an open top, maybe put a screen over it. No way, because stuff will get in there. You'll have a cesspool of mosquitoes in there. Now, one thing you can do, if you already have that set up, you can take some goldfish. I've done this a couple of years ago. Get some goldfish, just some like feeder goldfish from the bait store or the pet store. They're cheaper from the bait store, and put them in there. And they'll live for quite a while, and they will eat all of the mosquito larvae. They will feast themselves on the mosquito larvae. Especially, they'll live a long time if you put a air stone in there. So if you have a rain barrel with the open top or something, you can put an air stone in it and then put the goldfish in it, and they will eat all the larvae, all the bugs, and everything. So that's a good way. And then, of course, they fertilize to a little degree. They will fertilize the water. So that's just a bit of what I do with rain barrels, but the video will be coming before too long. So for most people, rainwater is the ideal way because typically rainwater is supposed to be 0 parts per million, but these past handful of years with our toxic environment we're all living in, there can actually be many toxins sometimes in the rainwater. Still though, it's really good for the plants because they love the rainwater. There's something about it. Once rainwater capturing season comes, which is now, I use rainwater to water the houseplants, and I always notice a difference. As soon as I start giving the houseplants the rainwater, they just boom, I just see the shinier green. I give them a little bit of the compost extract as well with the rainwater, and I just immediately, the leaves gloss over again and get nice and shiny. So let's see, Raw Iron Farm, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, we appreciate you, and if you want to shoot a video on the farm in Beecher, Illinois, you're welcome anytime. Beecher, Illinois, I'll have to see how far away that is, but that is something we could probably arrange. So yeah, let us keep in contact about that. Clem says, there's a lot of nitrogen in rainwater. Yes, I've heard this sometimes, although I'm not 100% positive how that is operating. So I can't say for sure because I've never tested it. So, but that is what they say. I do know that there is a positive life force energy in it. I do know that because I see it and I can experience it. When you filter out the rainwater, if you put rainwater through a Berkey, water filter, or ceramic water filter, it's a very different kind of water, than it is even putting tap water or something else or well water through the Berkey. It's just a different experience and you can feel it, and the plants can notice it as well. So there is that kind of things. And let's see here. Jesse Gravio says, hello, have you seen anything about electroculture? Been lots of books and research on it, and it does make plants grow faster and better. Have you tried it? Now, I am not, again, I do not have direct experience with it working better than anything else, because the electroculture, I get so many questions about that. So therefore, we are doing experiments this year about the electroculture. There will be direct experiments, and I think I'll make a video showing you guys all the different experiments that we're doing here. But definitely I'm going to try the electroculture because so many people are asking me about it and sending me resources to learn about it. And so I've, like Mom Computer, you know, the screen name Mom Computer, she has sent me some things on it. Also, Graham has sent me multiple things on it. There's a number of different people that have you know, sent me things, and I watch it all. So, you know, and I learn from it, but still the question is there in my mind. Not really the question, but just the understanding of the natural cycle. And it is that the plants already do exactly what we think that we can do with the electroculture. And the plants already are an antenna, grounded, you know, with the positive and negative ion exchange. They already do exactly all of that. They are literally an antenna. And so I think it's a very human thing to think that we can do something scientific and improve in some way what nature has already perfected over all these years. You never get something for nothing. And so if it is even possible or true, which we'll see, I can't take other people's secondhand, oh yeah, I read this thing in this book from the 1800s and they said it works, so it works. That's not how I operate. So I can't, so I have to do it and see. But even if that is the case, there's so many other factors that can be involved. And I just feel like that's a very human thing to think that we can rearrange and then create a better thing. So since you get something you can't get something for nothing, then what thing is that throwing out of balance? If it's just growing faster and stuff, what is it doing to the soil? Something is being thrown out of balance. Also with the electroculture, and I'm going on this because so many people ask, so here it is. But the electroculture is, you know, when I was growing in Northern California, okay, we were doing very, very high stakes gardening, very high dollar crops as well. And so there was, I mean, any little thing, and this was like the world hub of cutting edge growing of that kind, because there was so much money involved and because there was so much energy involved. And there was just so much, and the climate and all of this. And so if there was something that we could do that would get us even one more pound of yield, then we would do it. You could guarantee for sure that people would have been knowing about this and doing it. But yet nobody there, not one person that I ever remember seeing or even hearing about anything about electroculture. And so that's another thing. It's like, okay, well, maybe it does work, but if it worked, we would have been using it there. But also, if it works, then people who make their living by growing would be using it. It would be used all over the place because that's how people are making money. So that's my opinion on this stuff, okay? So Garth, 22 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much for the Canadian, my friend. I appreciate you. Glad to see that you're here. So yes, I know that you, let's see here. Oh, missed. There's so many comments now. Okay, Jeremy Ransom. It's called the Emerald Triangle for a reason. Oh yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah, I was in Southern Humboldt and the cutting edge of all of that kind of stuff. So I can guarantee you that we'd have been using electroculture if it worked. Ursula says, here it is, my friends, the electroculture video rant you've been asking for. That's right. That's right. Thank you. Piccolo Pete says, the bulb farm in Arcata? I work there. Beautiful, perfect flowers. Nice. Arcata, lovely place. Yes, but no, I was not growing bulbs there. But that's cool. Man, Arcata's got some awesome places. And the climate there is just so nice. It's the ideal kind of climate for me. Chad says, a lot of those electroculture plants, not that impressive compared to good cow manure. Yeah, there's just no way. And how are you going to do it on scale? You're going to have like a big, huge spool of wire and stuff. And okay, I'm going to put it into the ground. I just think it's way more effort. Yeah. So, but maybe but the experiments, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do some experiments this year. And if I see, because I'm very, very observant of all this kind of stuff, I notice the slightest little thing in a plant. I can notice a difference in the slightest little adjustment to the plant, to its health. I can speak with it. I can communicate with it. I feel this way. And so I will be able to tell if the electroculture plants, if I notice it in there, I have no problem with saying, guess what, guys? The electroculture stuff is totally different than I thought. It's mind-blowing, and somehow it's actually growing better than my other stuff. If that's the case, I have no problem saying that whatsoever, because it's all about learning, and that's what it's all about. And so I will be the first to tell you guys if it's working, okay? But I just don't think that you can improve on what has been perfected over however many eons of time. You know, the natural system, it's just already perfect. So yes. Charles says, yes, Nate the Plant Whisperer. This is what I desire to learn from you, Nate. Yes, my friend. Well, if you stick around long enough, you will learn all of this. Successful Garden Design says, I'm experimenting as well. Half the allotment Viking, the other half electroculture. Nice. That'll be cool. So the only thing different then is the addition of the antennas, because that's what I feel like has to happen. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do on that line of collard greens, and also in some of the pepper plants. So I'll do half of the pepper plants with the electroculture, the other half not. And then I will do half of the collard green plants, electroculture, half of them not. And we will see, you know, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. So let's see. Valgal says, do cedar wood chips deter the squash vine borers? I'm not sure on that. I'm really not sure. Maybe they do, but unlikely. Yeah. And let's see. So, Double A, good afternoon. Hello, my friend. Yes. Okay, so I want to go on to some of the guys. Remember, okay, a couple things. This is some delicious homemade Tabasco sauce, and look how much I made. And I just made it up the other day because last year I grew one Tabasco pepper plant, and I was able to get enough nice fiery orange Tabascos. It's actual Tabasco pepper plant. It's a certain strain. And then I took those peppers, about 2 cups of them, and fermented them with the brine over the winter with some garlic. And I think that's it, just with some garlic. And I fermented them in the basement for about 5 months. And then I just yesterday or a couple days ago liquefied them with a couple of other ingredients, and now it is super delicious. White vinegar. Well, I used in one batch I used apple cider vinegar, and one batch I used white vinegar, because apple cider vinegar is more alive. I mean, it is alive. The white vinegar is not alive. It's distilled. It's acid, yes. But the taste actually is more classic. It's a lot more classic, like Tabasco sauce with the white vinegar. Yeah, but I just wanted to show you guys this so that you could get an idea. Okay, you can do this with any of the peppers. You can do this with Tabasco, with cayennes, or with any of the hot peppers. It's going to work, but this one has got that. And I added some salt when I added the vinegar. This one's got that classic Tabasco flavor. It's crazy how that works. So yeah, you can do that. It's not a problem. So Mick says, bought Tabasco seeds this year just because you mentioned them so many times last summer. Your excitement was infectious. All right. That's what it's all about. I forget that I must have mentioned them last summer. Well, obviously I did. Yeah. But man, you only need 1 or 2 plants. I mean, unless you really like to make hot sauce, because I made about 1.5 of these. And that is tons of hot sauce because it's very hot. So another thing I want to recommend you guys get is some bee pollen. Doesn't really matter the brand or whatever, but I just wanted to say to you guys, you should be getting in on the bee pollen because it's the essence of the plant. It's so many vitamins and minerals, but also the life force that is in the plant. It's fantastic. I use it all the time. So let us see here. Say Nate, Jeremy says, thought you were going to say carrot juice. Yeah, carrot juice is wonderful, but nope, this is the Tabasco stuff. Mom Computer says, are you separating the 2 patches of peppers and collards? Well, I have all my collards. You're talking about the electroculture experiment. You have all of the collards in line, so they're all in the exact same place, the same sun, the same soil, all of that. But just half of the collards, I'm going to put the electroculture device in, and then the peppers, I'm just going to plant them all where they go in the same place, and then just half of them is going to be electroculture. So it's going to be the only difference is going to be the wire. That's going to be the only difference. And because I'm very, aware of those kind of things. You can't have any other like variables. I can't have a collard green patch at a different place in the garden, or I can't have it over at my mom's house and have that be, an experiment, a viable experiment. So, also guys, if you find like you got slug damage and stuff like that, you can go out at night with a headlamp. So watch the video I just made about the slug stuff. And now, I'm not affiliated with these people or anything like that. I mean, I'm just giving you guys helpful advice because I love this headlamp. This brand, actually, Phoenix, they do some pretty good stuff. But when I was in Northern California, we used to live by headlamps. I mean, we did so much work at night. And this is one that is fantastic. It's so lightweight and it's real simple to use. And so it's just got the on, off, and a couple of different adjustments. But it's feather light, and that's what I like. You barely even feel like you're wearing it. And it's got a real long battery on it. So, yeah, just wanted to tell you guys that. I guess it's the HM50R. That is the real lightweight and very powerful and rechargeable. So there's no more batteries and all that kind of stuff. Super good. So if you guys need a headlamp, I recommend getting that one. See, because I've got so many different headlamps. I mean, I've got ones that are like more powerful and stuff. And this is that same brand, Phoenix. It's a good one. It's just really bulky. It's a lot more bulky. So if you're going to be outside like working all night, this is the one to use. I got another one here somewhere, but oh well. So yeah, let's see here. I run amok. Says, how do you keep the mosquitoes off you at night? I love gardening at night, but get chewed alive. You stay covered, my friend. That's the way to do it. But actually, mosquitoes typically don't bother me all that much for some reason. But yeah, just stay covered. That's the only way to do it. I never ever, since I learned and discovered about chemicals and how the body is a method of absorption, absolutely. I just the last resort to put on bug spray of any kind. Just, oh man. And when I was young, I used to slather myself in DEET, and it would just be burning my pants and stuff. It'd be burning, and I would just, yeah, oh man, terrible. So let's see. Miss Val says, maybe try a few plants using strips of pantyhose to tie those plants. I used to use pantyhose strips to tie my plants. The way the plants looked after. I'm not sure what you want me to do, my friend. Patricia says, my neighbors looked at me like I was crazy out with my headlamp killing slugs. Oh yeah, absolutely. It definitely feels a little bit, people are like, what are you doing? It's like 11 o'clock. And why are you out gardening? And just, don't worry, you wouldn't understand. Okay? You wouldn't understand. Paint with Sway says, I don't have a basement. Any recommendations for storing potatoes and root crops over winter? Well, I don't know your exact environment, but here's the thing. Potatoes store naturally, and a lot of you already know this, but I'll say it again. Potatoes store naturally over the wintertime in the ground because they are a storehouse of solar energy. So the leaves capture the sunlight, they combine all the elements, and it stores the solar energy in the tuber so that the plant will die, but then next season, the solar energy will break dormancy and create a new solar panel so that it can start the process all over again. So what we have to do in order to keep the tubers in dormancy is to mimic as close as possible the conditions that the potato would experience underground. And so ideally, it would be dark, somewhat humid, 50%, something like that, and about 50 degrees, even 40 to 50 degrees, something like that. and except with decent airflow as well. So that would be what you want to try and mimic. Now, a basement, a root cellar, see, that really mimics underground. So root vegetables, potatoes, beets, carrots, that kind of stuff, all will store best in those kind of conditions. So the further away you get from the ideal conditions, the underground conditions, the less amount of time that they're going to store. So the only exception is sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes store better at like 60 to 70 degrees almost, with about 50% humidity. So the sweet potatoes can store just on the counter, it still doesn't want the light. Light makes them want to break dormancy. So you can store those like in a cupboard, in a paper bag, the sweet potatoes. But the regular potatoes, they want the coolness. So you'll still get a few months out of them though, if you just store them like in the cupboard. Because the potatoes that you get at the store are already several months old. They're often last season's harvest. Like, for example, these potatoes I got from the co-op, and they were just gold potatoes. They're some kind of gold potato, but they're organic and stuff. And I got them, and within 2 weeks, they have begun sprouting like this. All right, just in this bag. Now, these other potatoes I have had for, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. I've had for many, many months, okay? We'll say 6-7 months. I've had these other potatoes, and they are just now breaking their dormancy. And so that is a big difference. These ones are already from last season, I'm sure. And so that is why they break dormancy after just 2 weeks, as opposed to several months with a lot of these other potatoes. So let's see here. Chad says, so much of a difference between store-bought and fresh potatoes. Really unbelievable in the taste. Absolutely, my friend. It is totally unbelievable. That's why I dedicate a huge amount of growing space to the potato. The potato is really what you want. Paint with Sway says, Garth, I like that idea too. Thanks, Nate. Yes, I think Garth said something. Yeah, you can make a cooler from an old deep freeze. Yes, if you're handy, then definitely you can do that. And if you really want to get serious about it, get one of those like commercial coolers. And that will keep your stuff. That's like a root cellar, so long as there's a grid, until the grid goes down. Or if that ever happened in whatever way, then your stuff will be bad. Let's see. Pradeep says, my seedling leaves are turning yellow. What should I do? Urea? You can add some of the urine, but ideally, if you have good quality compost, watch the video that I made about the seedling fertilizer, which is basically just compost extract. And so that's ideal. That's going to have everything that your seedlings need. Now, if they are already turning yellow, go ahead and add maybe 1 ounce to 2 ounces a gallon of the urine as well. And that will do it. But typically they just want to go outside. So the thing is to give them as little time as possible. The only reason, these is too long in here. The only reason that they're still so luscious is because I give them really good stuff, obviously. So that's the only reason, because most of the time by the time they're this big, they're yellowed or they got issues already and stuff, but these are going to be just fine. So let's see here. Willie says, how can I find a co-op here in Indianapolis? Oh man, there's got to be some good co-ops in Indianapolis, I would imagine, but just punch it into your... We really only have one here. 2, I guess, but one here on this side of town. So, okay, let us see here. Yeah, the difference in the taste of potatoes is just profound, and so it can't be. It's because taste is a direct indicator of nutrient density and mineral content, and so that's why when we get things from the store, especially in the recent years, they're growing in depleted soils, or they're growing hydroponically and in greenhouses where there's no taste and no flavor because there's no nutrients, there's no minerals, and so it's like fake produce. But I want to tell you guys some things about some seeds, okay? I just want to briefly talk about that. So let's see here. Where are we going to do this? Okay. So things that we are done planting. Things that we are done planting by now, okay? But the peas are done until fall time, okay? We're done with those. We're done with cabbages, the Kyoto red carrots. You know, those are like a fall type, and the daikon radish, okay? Golden acre cabbage, all that kind of stuff. The Brunswick, definitely. These things we are going to start from seed. If you want to have a fall garden, we are going to start from seed, all of these things I just mentioned, on about July 1st, give or take a week or two, give or take a week, so that we can have them, and we're going to start them up outside, so that we can have them nice and grown up by August 1st. We really want them to be in the ground August 1st, all of this stuff. And so that is going to allow us plenty of time for them to grow up. And then once it starts to get cool again, it's going to really make these things nice and sweet. And that's going to be very important for things like the cabbages, especially like the Brunswick cabbage. This can take heavy frost. This can take snow and stuff, and it just gets sweeter. And so that's about the timing that you'll want to be doing. So we'll be starting those from seed about, sometime late June, middle to late June, but by July 1st, give or take. And then these things we can plant all summer long, like the mustard greens, the beets, these kind of carrots. We can plant these at any time throughout the summer. Swiss chard we can plant at any time. This, guys, if you guys are thinking about this, calibos, this is a red or purple cabbage, okay? But it is, now, they sell it because it's so beautiful. It's like, oh, it's really nice and beautiful. It could be in the flower garden, which it is a beautiful plant. But here's the thing. The head on this, I grew several of these 2 years ago. And the head on them is about 8 inches tall and about 4 inches, 5 inches wide, something like that. So a small head of cabbage. But the plant itself is like 3.5 feet wide. Maybe even 4 feet. The massive leaves, at least mine were, these humongous, massive fan leaves. And each one took up like 3 feet of space. And it was just way too much for what you get. So yeah, those are only things you learn by doing it. So I would recommend, unless you have tons of space, to not really mess with this one, okay? So, but instead you could mess with the Glory of Einkusen. And that is very nice because it produces a good size of head of cabbage, but the fan leaves are not much bigger. So you got the big head of, the whole plant is mostly the head of cabbage with a few fan leaves, yes, but half the amount of space taken up as the other one, yet you get triple the amount of actual cabbage meat. So that's my advice on that. Now, I want to tell you guys a few more things about the things that we're seeding up. So we are past the last frost, but for most of you, just because the last frost has passed doesn't mean the soil has gotten really that warm. So for that reason, here in Indiana, most years we wait until about the last week of May, or even the 1st of June before we plant the real heat-loving stuff, the stuff that really thrives in the heat, okay? Because just because the air temperature is warm does not mean the soil's warm yet. So we are going to be planting here anytime in the next week or two. We're going to be planting the white scallop squash. This is a very, very old school variety. Hundreds of the natives used to grow this exact type. And I like to just cut it in half. When this type of squash, also these golden ones, they're very similar. But I like to just cut them in half and slather in some olive oil, salt and pepper. That's all it takes. Maybe a little garlic powder, homemade garlic powder, of course. And then put it on the grill and let it get a little bit of char. Super good. This one tastes like a sweet corn. It tastes like kind of pretty much like a huge kernel of sweet corn is what this tastes like. So those we'll be planting pretty soon. And then the standards, we're going to be planting pretty soon as well. These are always good to cube up. And everybody loves these, but you only need one plant really, or two, unless you want to start a squash farm or zucchini farm. But here, guys, we're doing the purple hull peas this year, okay? Now, I have never done the purple hull peas, but I got this pea sheller that is downstairs now, and it's a pea and bean sheller that I finally figured out how to use it last year, and it works really good. I got a huge bucket of peas it was awesome in like 30 minutes instead of like several hours and hours and hours. It was only like 15 minutes of actual work. So I'm growing these purple hull, pink-eyed peas, which are more like cow peas this year because I really want to see what these are like. Because Danny from Deep South Homestead highly recommends them, and so I value his opinion on things. Although, yes, we don't have the same climate as the Deep South, of course, I still think that these are going to grow very well. So, yeah, it's that kind of stuff. I just wanted to tell you guys that. Things, if you haven't started your peppers by now, you can almost forget about it, you know. Depending on the season that you live in. Onions, don't even think about it. From seed, that's not going to work right now because they are day length sensitive and you can't stop the changing of the day length. So yeah, here is that pepper I was telling you guys about. I'm going to be roasting these. I'm growing a bunch and then roasting them and making them nice and powdered. So just wanted to tell you guys about some of that stuff. And let's see here. JT grows it Alaska, Zone 4 Alaska here. Our last frost is June 1st. Yeah, man, you want to get that stuff in. Spreading ideas. If Jadam, fish liquid, same results as Korean farming, FAA, so I will hold bad smell. They're different. I mean, they're different, definitely. The FAA is a much more concentrated source. It's more like oil. It's more like real oil. So you use much less of it. And they both don't smell once they're done. So everyone is always talking about the smell of all this stuff. And that's because either they haven't done it right or they haven't given it enough time. Because and I'm going to be making a video real soon, tips and tricks about the fish fertilizers that I opened up the buckets just the other day and there's no foul odor coming from them. I mean, the fish hydrolysate or the Jadam fish. Yes. And I also have the FAA downstairs as well. And that hasn't smelled for a long time. So it's not a problem. Let's see. Val says, have you tried to separate seedlings to replant? It's hard to thin out perfectly good plants. I thinned and transplanted a couple of tomato plants yesterday. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I know. Thinning used to not be my forte whatsoever. Because it's like already growing so well. But here's the thing, guys, that if you don't thin things that need to be thinned, you're just hurting yourself because you're going to end up with a bunch of unhealthy plants crowded out that are susceptible to disease, that consume way more water and prone to drying out, and that also whatever produce you get from it will be smaller and it won't be as flavorful. So that's the thing. So unless you don't want all of that, then you need to thin. So thinning out things like, I used to plant the peas way too close together. And I only realized after several seasons of getting tiny peas that were like never really fully matured and stuff because I thought, oh, peas can be crowded out. And because, I mean, I know they can be planted close. But then a few years ago, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to plant them about this far apart instead. And so I ended up getting much thicker, fuller peas. They all came to maturity and they ripened out and they got that real good sweetness. You know, so peas can be planted close, but not too close. You don't gain anything. Also, the same thing about peppers. It's when we were talking about it earlier. You don't gain anything by putting them too close. You only lose because then you're going to end up with a bunch of stunted plants and tiny little peppers. Same with tomatoes. So, and definitely the same with like collard greens. If you go down and you sow something like collard greens or cabbages or something, and you don't thin them out and they're all crowded together, instead of having one plant that is massive and takes up like 3 feet with huge 1 foot long leaves and stuff like my collard greens are, then you will end up with, dozens of little baby collard greens that can never get any bigger than that. And they'll start turning yellow and they'll get powdery mildew all over them. That's how it works. But if you thin them out, collard greens want to be about 1 every 3 feet. I mean, to be in their full glory. And that's because these collard greens get massive. Yeah. And yes, Clem, you're right. Yeah. So to answer the original question, yes, you can thin them out and replant. He says, and replant most things that aren't root vegetables or vining climbing plants. Yes, definitely. You can replant most of them. Carrots, no. Beets, no. But pretty much anything else, yes. For the most part, you can do that. So let's see. Tirza says, Danny, who's doing some electroculture too. Yes, he is definitely doing some electroculture experiments. I haven't watched much of his stuff, well, in the past year, give or take, because I've got my own channel going on and all that stuff. But yeah, I've seen a couple of things. He's doing experiments. The jury is still out on that as well. He understands the concept, you know, but he is doing experiments on it. He is not. He does not have the opinion that electroculture is the way to go yet. So that'll be interesting to see. Ben T says, how close are carrots supposed to be thinned to? Well, that depends how big you want them to get. If you just do the carrots, they're all going to grow up, and they will kind of push each other apart, and you'll have a bunch of small carrots. But if you pull every other, you know, you start thinning them, and then you pull them and you eat that one, put it in a salad, whatever, and then you just leave the remaining, the gap that pulling that one created will allow the other ones to grow a little bit wider. So you don't need, I mean, every 2 inches, you know, 2 or 3 inches, a carrot, something like that, and they'll just get fatter and thicker than they would have otherwise. So like I said, I'm not super good with inches, like numbers, inches, feet, and all that kind of stuff. I just go by, I look at it and I can feel. So let's see here. Tamara says, good afternoon, my friend. My adult son has several fish tanks, and I saved empty water jugs for him to fill with fish water. When he cleans tanks, use it on my plants, and it's awesome. Okay, very good. So you're using the fish tank water. Yes, that would be beneficial. Yes. But a lot of people are talking about, is the fish tank water the same as the fish fertilizer? And absolutely not. It is not the same thing, does not do the same thing. But it's still good. Yeah, if you have fish tank water, put it on your plants, no doubt, because there's going to be good, you know, organic nutrients in there. But Clem says, let's see here. I thinned onions for years before learning they can be transplanted really easily. Oh, onions are like the ultimate transplant. Onions are the ultimate transplant because they got really, really hardcore roots. So Laura says, just want to say thank you for your tip on getting rid of slugs. My garden was decimated last year by them, and I was close to using slug bait. Can't wait to use your method. All right. Yeah. And I went out a couple of nights ago with the headlamp, and man, I even recorded some of it, but I don't know if I'll ever show it. But there was like 10 slugs, little baby slugs on each plant, and it was just crazy. So just 1-2 sprays with the stuff, and within just minutes, they're all melted. They're all just dissolved. And I wouldn't do it otherwise unless it had to be done. But it is literally, it's one of those years because of whatever reasons that it's either do something like that or I'm not getting a harvest. And that, not getting a harvest, that's never an option for me. That's never an option. And so, yeah, that's what we have to do. Let's see. And I also found out, okay, and I recorded this, that the leopard slugs do in fact eat the leaves big time. And that's what I thought intuitively, because I tried to make the slug video last year, but I went about it in the wrong way. You know, I just wasn't really thinking. And so then I had to take the video down, and I made the video explaining why I was taking it down. Because everybody was telling me leopard slugs are super beneficial. What are you doing? Leopard slugs are beneficial. And I was like, what? So I did a little bit of research, and some of the things are saying, yeah, leopard slugs eat other slugs and all of this. They don't eat plants. And I thought, oh, okay. Oh man, that's terrible. So then I put the word out. But then, I went out there with the headlamp, and I made it a point to look, and I saw leopards, huge fat leopard slugs decimating the leaves. I mean, mowing down on the leaves of the cabbage plants. So I don't really know what people are talking about as far as, because now my firsthand experience is such, and what I felt last year, I intuited that the leopard slugs were damaging things. But so now I know they really are damaging things. I'm sure they also eat other slugs and do all that other stuff, but they also really destroy the cabbages. So take that for what it's worth. Let's see. Camper Jack says, hi, I made the J-Dom wedding agent, and it came out very thick like syrup. Should I dilute it to bottle it? Well, let's see. I don't know if you should because I don't think you've made it right. Well, like what kind of syrup though? But if you follow the instructions of the video, it should come out totally right. So there is no, I can't think of what you did wrong or anything. I don't know what the consistency is. It's like a liquid soap. If you know what Bronner's is, yes. So Willie says, question, any advice on busting up deep clay? I've tried tilling, compost, carrots, radishes, and beans with no real improvement. Okay, so then you've tried the tillage radishes even. That's so I would say you want to do a couple of seasons or at least one good season of some winter rye. Winter rye will get deep into there and it will bust up that stuff. Just remember, after you use something like a cover crop, you're never tilling, you're never doing anything like that. So you want to, the cover crop of the winter rye root system is going to be absolutely as vigorous as pretty much any of the cover crop systems can get. So that's what I would recommend. If you already did tillage radishes and it still didn't, that doesn't make sense. How is that possible? Because the tillage radishes are really, he's talking about the daikon radishes like this, and they put a big, huge, gaping hole in the ground. And so if you should plant them more thickly, you can do that. So you can plant winter rye and this together, and they'll terminate at different times. That stuff does not overwinter. The daikon radish tillage crop does not overwinter. It dies, but the winter rye will overwinter. So. Okay, guys, if you got any burning questions, we got a few more minutes. But Fried Bologna says, people grasp at straws for any excuse not to kill something. I know it's tough, but sometimes it has to be done. Yeah, I understand. I understand. I'm sort of the same school of thought. I don't needlessly do any of that stuff, of course. And I don't do anything that's persistent. Like poisonous baits and all that kind of stuff that just indiscriminately kills whatever. That is absolutely not the way to go, in my opinion. So I only do things that you can apply directly to the thing that needs to be terminated. So let's see here. Okay, Janice says, Danny's video from yesterday shows a definite difference in the electroculture plants. I'm going to try it out on a couple plants to see what it does here in mid-Michigan. Yeah, okay, well that's good, that's good. If that's Danny's experience, of course, it's still not my experience, so I don't know. I can't say for sure, I can't recommend it or anything. It still doesn't seem, we'll see. So that's good though, if he has found that, so we'll see what his opinion is at the end of the year. But we're doing our own experiments here, and hopefully you're doing your own experiments also. So if you are doing your experiments, tag me. If you have Instagram, use the hashtag Garden Like a Viking. Also Team Viking. But number one is Garden Like a Viking. Use that hashtag because I can look through that and I can see you guys' stuff. So otherwise, I really don't know. I really don't have any way to see it. So if you want to mention me in the stuff or stories or whatever, if you mention me in your story, I'll put the story to my story, whatever. I'm still kind of new to Instagram, but I'm getting the point of it. So yeah, check that out if you guys want to do that and use that hashtag so I can see the progress of your stuff, because we need to do as many experimentations as possible. So just because Danny might be having success doesn't mean that that's it. Okay, now it works. No, that's good, but we have to experiment it much more thoroughly before we can say anything like that. So let's see here. JT says, question, what do you think of azomite? Azomite is wonderful. Azomite has over 70 trace minerals in it that are all required for the life in the soil and the plants, the tissues of the plants and all of that. So it can be very good in the right circumstances. If you are growing in the ground with plenty of organic material, and plenty of microbial life, then there isn't much need for it, because there's already, even in clay soil, especially in clay soil, there's all the micronutrients that you will need for the most part, if you have the soil biology that can unlock it. And that's most important, is having the soil biology that can unlock all of this stuff. But if you are growing in soilless growing medium, For example, if you are growing in the Pro Mix, or if you're growing in pretty much any of the bag soils from the store, which are really soilless growing mixes, then you will need to use something like azomite because it's not present, because there's not actually soil in Pro Mix. None of those things, Miracle Grow, potting soil, seed starting mix, that's not actually soil. Soil is a combination of sand, silt, and clay with microbes involved. But that stuff is perlite and peat moss and some other stuff, composted forest material, which is better, but that's still not soil. So if you're using soilless growing mediums, azomite can be very beneficial. You know, those kind of dry amendments can be very beneficial. But if you are not, then, and you have a thriving soil microbiome and all of that, then you will be okay growing in the ground. So yes, my friends, let's see if there's any more of these questions here. Wouter van den Bosch says, thank you for my first live watch from the Netherlands, and thanks for all the knowledge. You are very welcome, my friend. Mick Hegarty, $20. Appreciate the contribution, my friend. How are those winter sown stuff going? They should be well sprouted by now, aren't they? Let me see some pictures on Instagram of that. Deanna says, I enjoyed class today. Thank you. You're very welcome. Enoch says, azomite, I think it's rock dust. It's like a rock dust, yeah. It's formed from a glacial deposit like that. And that can be very beneficial, like I said, especially in the soilless growing mediums. So yeah, and a lot of you guys have asked about like what is a good commercial fertilizer if I don't want to make all the fertilizers myself and stuff like that. What's a good commercial fertilizer that I can just buy a bag of and add to my soil? And my answer is, and always has been, I don't believe in any of the commercial ones. You know, I could never put my stamp on any of the commercially available fertilizers because they're just, I don't believe in them. So for that reason, I am utilizing a formula that took me many years to develop in Northern California. And it's all dry amendment stuff. So for the few that want that kind of thing, I am in the works of redeveloping that formula. Now, granted, we were growing different plants, but it doesn't matter because it was super good for those plants, and it will be super good for any of the vegetable plants. And so that is I'm in the test stages, seeing if it would be beneficial to make this and then kind of have it available for you guys. So yeah, but it's got so many different things in it. It's azomite and all different kinds of stuff. But yeah, you can be on the lookout for that. And I'll show you guys some of the test experimentations and stuff that I am doing with it. But yeah, that is my answer because you guys have asked about that. And I don't recommend any of the commercially grade ones because, yeah, I don't believe in it. So Frosty Lone Wolf says, I meant first time coming here. Okay. Let's see. Bug time is dusk to start. Usually they eat up later. Okay. And have a good weekend, Nate. I'll try to catch the Monday stream. I've missed the last few. Yes. Feed the soil, not the plants. That's right, Enoch. And yes, every Monday there is a live stream on the my other channel, Nate Muri. And that is where we talk about health and wellness and nutrition and, pretty much anything we can talk about on that channel. And I like to keep this focused to the gardening. So I think that's pretty much it, my friends. I will see you guys next time.